When my son Billy stood in my living room and said, "Dana's parents need a place to stay, so you'll have to move out for a while," I almost laughed. When Dana added, "Don't worry, we'll let you come back when they're done," I stayed quiet, and when Billy handed me a stack of real estate listings for affordable senior apartments, I just smiled and said, "Let me think about it." What they didn't know was that this house, the one they thought they'd inherit, wasn't actually in my name. It was in an irrevocable trust I'd set up 5 years ago. A trust where I was the lifetime beneficiary, but they had no legal claim until after I died. And the trustee? My attorney, Kate, who was already drafting eviction notices. See, what my son and his entitled wife didn't know about their pushover mother was that before I retired, I spent 28 years as a real estate paralegal specializing in estate planning. I didn't just know property law. I'd spent 3 decades helping clients protect their assets from greedy relatives. My name is Betty. I'm 60 years old. And in exactly 72 hours, my son is going to receive a certified letter informing him that he's illegally occupying property he has no right to. And he has 5 days to vacate. If your family ever tried to take what you built, hit subscribe. Because this story is about what happens when the person you underestimated turns out to own the ground you're standing on. I bought this house 28 years ago with money I'd saved from working 2 jobs. My husband had just died, brain aneurysm, at 34, no warning, just gone. Billy was 4 years old. I was drowning in medical debt and funeral costs, but I knew I needed stability for my son. A place that was ours. So I worked days as a paralegal at Morrison Associates, a firm specializing in estate law and property trusts, nights as a waitress at a diner off-route. I'd come home at midnight smelling like coffee and grease, check on Billy sleeping at my neighbor's house, and collapse into bed for 5 hours before doing it all again. It took me 3 years to save the down payment. Another year to find the right house, a small colonial in Needham with good schools and a backyard big enough for a swing set. The day we moved in, Billy ran through every room yelling, "This is ours, Mommy. We have a house." Yes, baby, we have a house. I built something from nothing, from grief and exhaustion and sheer stubborn will. Over the years, I paid off the mortgage early, renovated the kitchen myself, watching YouTube videos on how to install cabinets, refinished the hardwood floors on my hands and knees, planted a garden that grew tomatoes and herbs and flowers. This house was more than shelter. It was proof that I'd survived, that I'd given Billy a childhood that was stable and safe despite losing his father. When Billy graduated high school, I cried watching him walk across the stage. When he got into college, I worked extra hours to help with tuition. When he got his first real job, I threw him a party in this house, the house we'd built together. "Mom, you've done so much for me," he said that night. "I'm going to take care of you when you're older, I promise." I believed him. Billy met Dana when she was beautiful in that calculated way, perfect highlights, designer bags she claimed were vintage finds, an Instagram feed that looked like a lifestyle magazine. "Mom, she's amazing," Billy gushed the first time he brought her to dinner. "She's got this great energy. She's ambitious. She wants to build something." What Dana wanted to build, I realized later, was a life funded by other people's money. The red flags started early. At that first dinner, Dana looked around my house with an appraising eye. "This is a great property. What's the square footage?" "And you own it outright." "Yes." "Smart. Real estate is the best investment." She smiled. Billy's lucky to have such a financially savvy mother. It felt like a compliment and an assessment at the same time. They got engaged 6 months later. Dana wanted a big wedding, 200 guests, designer dress, destination bachelorette party. "Mom, could you help with costs?" Billy asked. "Dana's parents can't contribute much." "How much do you need?" "Maybe I thought about it. It was a lot of money, but Billy was my only child. If this was what he wanted, okay, but that's all I can do. You'll need to fund the rest yourselves." The wedding cost $60,000. I found out later they'd taken out loans to cover the difference. After they married, Dana's interest in my house increased. "Betty, have you thought about what you'll do when you can't maintain this place anymore?" she asked one Sunday dinner. "I maintain it fine for now, but you're getting older. Stairs become harder. Yard work becomes too much. Have you considered downsizing? Not really. You should. You could sell this place, get something smaller and more manageable, and have money left over for retirement. I'm comfortable here. But think about Billy's future. Wouldn't you want him to have this asset, to build wealth? There it was. Not concern for my comfort, concern for inheritance. The house will go to Billy eventually, I said carefully, but I'm not planning to leave anytime soon. Of course not. I just meant long-term planning, but I'd spent 28 years as a paralegal. I knew the language of asset grabbing, and Dana was speaking it fluently. 2 years after Billy's wedding, I made a decision. I called my colleague and friend, Kate Sullivan, a trusts and estates attorney I'd worked with for over a decade. Kate, I need to protect my house. From what? From my daughter-in-law, maybe from my son. I don't know yet, but I need to make sure that if something happens to me, or if they try to pressure me out, the house is protected. Tell me what's going on. I told her the comments about downsizing, the questions about my will, the way Dana looked at my property like she was already mentally redecorating. You want an irrevocable trust, Kate said. You transfer the house into the trust. You're the lifetime beneficiary. You can live there, rent it out, whatever you want. But legally, you don't own it. The trust does. And I'll be the trustee. What happens when I die? The trust specifies beneficiaries. Billy can be one, but you can add conditions. He has to reach a certain age, or the property can't be sold for X years, or proceeds have to be split certain ways. You control it even after death. And if someone tries to force me out, they can't. You have lifetime occupancy rights. The only way you leave is if you choose to leave. If anyone tries to evict you, they're violating the trust terms and I shut it down immediately. Do I have to tell Billy? No. The trust is private. He won't know unless you tell him or unless he tries something that forces it into the open. I transferred the house into the trust that month, drew up documents, signed papers, made myself safe. And I didn't tell Billy, not because I didn't trust him, though that was becoming questionable, but because I'd spent 3 decades watching families destroy each other over inheritance. I'd seen children pressure elderly parents into signing over property. I'd seen siblings fight over houses before the parent was even buried. I wasn't going to be one of those stories. It started subtly. Dana mentioning how her parents were struggling financially, how they'd had to downsize, how they were living in a small apartment that was barely suitable. They're getting older, she told me, over coffee. I worry about them. That must be hard. It is. I wish there was something we could do to help. I waited. I knew where this was going. 2 weeks later, Billy called. Mom, can we come over? We need to talk about something. They arrived on a Sunday afternoon. Billy looked uncomfortable. Dana looked determined. Mom, we have a situation, Billy started. Okay. Dana's parents are being evicted. Their landlord is selling the building, and they have 60 days to find a new place. I'm sorry to hear that. We were thinking, he glanced at Dana. Maybe they could stay here, just temporarily, until they find something. My stomach dropped. Stay here? Just for a few months, Dana jumped in. They're very tidy. You wouldn't even notice them. I would absolutely notice 2 extra people in my house. Betty, they're desperate. They're in their 70s. They can't afford first and last month's rent on a new place. What about your apartment? You have 2 bedrooms. Our lease doesn't allow long-term guests, and it's too small for 4 people. So is my house. Your house has 3 bedrooms, Dana said sharply. 1 for you, 1 for my parents, 1 for storage that you barely use. It's perfect. It's my house.
Exactly. Our house.
Where you live alone with plenty of space. Her voice took on an edge. Don't you think it's selfish to have all this room when family members are about to be homeless? Dana, Billy tried to interrupt. No, I'm serious. Betty, you raised Billy to care about family, to help people in need. Now your family needs help, and you're saying no? I'm saying I'm not comfortable having strangers live in my house. Strangers? They're my parents. They're Billy's in-laws. They're family. I don't know them, because you've never made an effort. Dana's voice rose. You've been cold to them since day 1. You've never invited them here, never asked about their lives. Dana, that's not fair, Billy finally spoke up. But weakly, not defending me, just asking her to be gentler in her attack. It's completely fair. Your mother has this huge house all to herself while my parents are about to be on the street. They won't be on the street. They'll find an apartment. With what money? They're broke, Betty. Broke. And you're sitting here in your paid-off house, acting like it's unreasonable to help family. I looked at Billy. Is this what you want? Your in-laws living with me? He hesitated. I want to help Dana's parents. Yeah, it seems like the easiest solution. Easiest for whom? For everyone. Come on, Mom. It's just a few months. And after a few months, they'll find a place. Or will you tell me they need a few more months? And then a few more until suddenly I'm the guest in my own house? Dana's eyes flashed. That's paranoid. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, this sounds like the beginning of a plan to edge me out. Oh my God. Dana stood up. Billy, I told you she'd make this about her. She always does. I'm not making this about me. This is literally about my house. Your house that Billy will inherit anyway. What difference does it make if we use it now or later? The difference is I'm still alive and living here. Dana grabbed her purse. Fine, we'll figure something else out. But don't come crying to us when you're old and alone and need help. Because I'll remember this. I'll remember how you chose your precious house over family. They left. Billy threw me one guilty look over his shoulder, but didn't say anything. I sat in my empty living room, hands shaking. Not from fear, from anger. They thought they could guilt me into giving up my home. They thought I was soft enough, lonely enough, desperate enough for their approval. They were wrong. Over the next month, the pressure increased. Dana started a whisper campaign. I heard from my sister Louisa that Dana had told extended family I'd refused to help her homeless parents. Billy stopped calling as often. When he did, conversations were stiff, formal. How are you, Mom? Fine, how are you? Good. Busy. Silence. Okay. Talk soon. Then came the Sunday they showed up unannounced. I was in the garden when I heard the front door open. I'd given Billy a key years ago for emergencies. This wasn't an emergency. I walked inside to find Billy and Dana in my living room with two older people I'd never met. Mom, these are Dana's parents, Donovan and Caitlin. Hello, I said carefully. We wanted them to see the house. Dana said, see where they'd be staying? I never agreed to that. We know, but we thought if you met them, you'd change your mind. Dana gestured to her parents. Mom, Dad, tell Betty about the eviction. Donovan launched into a well-rehearsed story about the landlord, the sudden notice, their desperate search for housing. Caitlin dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. It was a performance. A good one, but still a performance. I'm sorry for your situation, I said, but my answer hasn't changed. Betty, please, Caitlin said. We're desperate. We're too old to be homeless. You're not going to be homeless. There are resources. Resources. Dana snapped. You mean homeless shelters? You want me to put my elderly parents in a shelter? I mean social services, housing assistance. There are programs. We don't qualify, Donovan said. We make just enough from Social Security to be ineligible for help, but not enough to afford market rate apartments. What about staying with Dana and Billy? I told you, our lease. Break the lease. Pay the penalty. Move somewhere bigger. We can't afford that. Billy said, Mom, why are you being so difficult? I'm not being difficult. I'm protecting my space. Your space that you're not even using. Dana gestured wildly. 2 empty bedrooms. A finished basement. You're hoarding space while people suffer. This is my house, and Billy is your son. Your only child. You raised him to be compassionate, and now he's trying to help people, and you're standing in his way. I'm not standing in anyone's way. I'm just not giving up my house. Dana's face turned red. You're a selfish old woman. You know that? Selfish and cruel. You'd rather live alone in this big house than help family. Dana, don't. Billy tried. No. She needs to hear this. She sits here in her paid-off house with her comfortable retirement, and she can't spare a few months to help people in crisis. Get out, I said quietly. Excuse me? Get out of my house, all of you. Now, Mom, Billy started. Billy, I gave you a key for emergencies. This isn't an emergency. This is you bringing strangers into my home without permission to pressure me. That's a violation of my privacy and my trust. So get out." Dana's parents stood quickly, muttering apologies. Dana glared at me with pure hatred. "You'll regret this," she said. "Will I?" "Yes. Because one day you're going to need help. You're going to be sick or old or scared, and we won't be there. Because you chose a house over your son." "I didn't choose a house over my son. My son chose his wife's demands over his mother's boundaries. There's a difference." They left. The door slammed hard enough to rattle the windows. I locked the door behind them, then I called Kate. "They're escalating." I told her. "They brought Dana's parents here without permission. They're pressuring me hard. Do you feel unsafe?" "Not physically, but they're not going to stop. This is going to get worse before it gets better. Then we need to get ahead of it. File a formal letter stating your ownership through the trust. Make it clear that you have sole occupancy rights and that any attempt to force you out will result in legal action." Will that make them back off? "It'll make them realize you're not the pushover they think you are." The letter went out the next day. Certified mail. Signature required. Billy called 3 days later. "Mom, what the hell is this?" "That's a legal document explaining the ownership structure of my property. It says the house is in a trust, that I have no claim to it while you're alive." "That's correct. When did this happen?" 5 years ago." Silence. "Then you've been lying to me for 5 years?" "I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you." "There's a difference." "That's semantics. You let me believe I'd inherit this house. You will? Eventually? But not while I'm living in it. Dana's parents need help now. Then Dana needs to help them, not me." "Mom, please, just reconsider." "No. You're really going to do this? Choose property over people?" "I'm choosing my safety over your wife's manipulation. If you can't see the difference, that's your problem, not mine." I hung up, and I waited for what would come next. It came 2 weeks later. I was at work. I'd recently taken a part-time consulting job at my old firm when my neighbor, Mrs. Hernandez, called. "Betty, there's a moving truck at your house." My blood went cold. "U-Haul. 2 men are carrying furniture inside. I thought maybe you were renovating." "I'm not. Call the police. Tell them someone's breaking into my house." "Are you sure? I don't want..." "Call them now. I'm on my way." I drove home doing 20 over the speed limit. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely grip the wheel. When I pulled up, the U-Haul was still there. My front door was wide open. 2 men were carrying a couch up my front steps. Billy's car was in the driveway. I got out. "What are you doing?" Billy emerged from the house, looking guilty but defiant. "Mom, you're home early. What are you doing?" "Dana's parents need a place to stay. Since you won't let them stay willingly, we're making arrangements." "You're moving them into my house without my permission?" "It's not just your house, it's our family house. I grew up here. I have a right." "You have no right. I received a legal document that says you have no claim to this property. That trust is bullshit, and you know it. You can't just lock me out of my inheritance." "I didn't lock you out. I protected myself from exactly this." I turned to the movers. "Put that furniture back in the truck. You're trespassing." One of the movers looked at Billy. "She says it's her house." "It's complicated," Billy said. "Please, just finish unloading." "It's not complicated." I pulled out my phone. "The police are on their way. If that furniture isn't back in the truck in 2 minutes, you'll be arrested for breaking and entering." The movers looked at each other, then at Billy. "Man, we don't get paid enough for this." I started carrying the couch back down. Billy grabbed my arm. "Mom, don't do this. Please. Dana's parents are in the truck. They have nowhere else to go." I pulled my arm free. "That's not my problem. You have 5 minutes to get everyone and everything off my property before the police arrive." Dana appeared from inside the house. "Betty, be reasonable." "I am being reasonable. You're breaking into my house? That's illegal." "We're not breaking in. Billy has a key." "Billy has a key for emergencies, not for moving in squatters." "Squatters? These are my parents. They're strangers to me. And they're leaving. Now." Sirens sounded in the distance. Billy's face went pale. "Mom, please don't do this. The police, they'll arrest me." And you should have thought of that before you committed a felony. The police arrived, 2 officers. I explained the situation, showed them the trust documents Kate had sent me, proved I was the legal occupant. Sir, you need to vacate the property. One officer told Billy, "This is my mother's house, not according to these documents. The house is held in trust. She has sole occupancy rights. You're trespassing." Dana started crying. "We were just trying to help my parents." "Ma'am, I understand. But this isn't your property. You need to leave." They left. All of them. Billy didn't look at me. Dana's parents looked confused and frightened. Dana shot me a look of pure hatred. The movers finished loading the furniture. The U-Haul drove away. Mrs. Hernandez came over after the police left. "Betty, are you okay?" "I'm fine. That was your son." "I know. I'm so sorry." "Don't be. He made his choice." I went inside, looked around. Everything was as I'd left it. Nothing had been moved in. Nothing had been changed. My house was still mine, but I'd lost my son in the process. Billy didn't call for a month. Dana called once, screaming, "You humiliated us. The police, the neighbors saw everything. How could you do that to your own son? How could he break into my house? He has a key for emergencies, not for staging a home invasion. You're insane. You're paranoid and cruel, and you've destroyed your relationship with Billy over a house." No, Billy destroyed our relationship by choosing your demands over my boundaries. He was trying to help people. He was enabling your manipulation. There's a difference. She hung up. I went to work, came home, tended my garden, lived my life. But the silence from Billy hurt more than I wanted to admit. My sister Louisa called. "I heard what happened." "I'm sure you did." "Dana's telling everyone you called the cops on Billy." "I did. He was trespassing." "Betty, he's your son, and I'm his mother. That doesn't give him the right to take my property." "But family respects boundaries. Family doesn't break into your house and try to move strangers in." I spent 28 years helping clients protect themselves from exactly this. I'm not going to be the hypocrite who lets it happen to me. "So what now? You're just not going to have a relationship with him?" That's up to him. My door is open if he wants to apologize and respect my boundaries. But I'm not apologizing for protecting myself. 2 months passed. Then Kate called. "Betty, Billy's attorney contacted me." My stomach dropped. "Billy has an attorney. He's contesting the trust, claiming you were mentally incompetent when you signed it, that you were unduly influenced, that the trust is invalid." I was 55 years old and working full-time as a paralegal when I signed it. I was completely competent. I know, and we have documentation proving it. But this is going to get messy. How messy? Depositions, possibly a competency evaluation. They're going to try to prove you didn't understand what you were signing. I drafted similar trusts for clients for 20 years. I understood exactly what I was signing. Then we'll prove it. But Betty, you need to prepare yourself. Billy's going to say things about you in court. Things that will hurt. He already broke into my house and tried to steal it. How much worse can it get? Kate was quiet. A lot worse. When family goes to war over property, it brings out the worst in people. She was right. Billy's deposition was held in a conference room downtown. He sat across from Kate and me, his attorney beside him, a sharp-looking woman named Jordan Reeves. For the record, Jordan started your Betty Morrison, age 60, and you established the trust containing your property at 847 Meadow Lane 5 years ago. Yes, and you did so without informing your son, your only child and heir, correct? Why? To protect my property from being taken from me. Taken by whom? By anyone who might try to force me out, including my son and his wife. Jordan raised an eyebrow. You believed your son would force you out of your own home? I believed it was possible. His wife had been pressuring me to downsize, making comments about my house being too much for me. I'd seen this pattern in my professional work, family members slowly convincing elderly relatives to give up their property. You're 60, hardly elderly. The tactics are the same regardless of age. Billy spoke up. Mom, that's not what Dana was doing. Mr. Morrison, please let your attorney ask questions. Kate interrupted. Jordan continued. Miss Morrison, Were you experiencing any cognitive difficulties when you signed the trust? No. Any memory problems? Confusion? No. Were you on any medications that might have impaired your judgment? No. Did anyone pressure you to sign these documents? No. I asked my attorney to draft them. It was entirely my decision. And you didn't tell your son because it was my property and my choice. I wasn't required to inform him. Billy's face was red. You let me think I'd inherit the house. You let me make plans. What plans? Kate asked sharply. Billy hesitated. Mr. Morrison, Kate pressed, what plans did you make regarding your mother's house? Just future plans. Thinking about what we'd do with the property eventually. Eventually when? When it passed to me. When she died. Yes. So you were planning for your mother's death? Making decisions about her property before she was gone? I didn't mean, did you discuss these plans with your wife? We talked about possibilities, that's normal. Is it normal to try to move your in-laws into your mother's house against her will? Jordan interrupted. Objection. It's not relevant to the trust validity. It's absolutely relevant, Kate shot back. It goes to motive. My client established this trust specifically to prevent what Mr. Morrison attempted, taking control of her property while she was still living in it. The deposition continued for 3 hours. By the end, Billy looked exhausted, defeated. As we were leaving, he caught my arm. Mom, please, can we just talk without the lawyers? What is there to say? I'm sorry about the moving truck, about everything. Dana was so insistent. Her parents really were desperate. I thought I was helping. You thought you were helping by breaking into my house. I thought you were being unreasonable. You have all this space and you're living alone, and it's mine. Billy, this is what I've been trying to tell you. My property isn't your inheritance yet. It's my home, right now, while I'm alive. You don't get to take it just because you think I don't need it. I wasn't taking it. Yes, you were. That's exactly what you were doing. He pulled his hand back. Dana was right. You care more about property than people. No, I care about respecting boundaries. There's a difference. We didn't speak again for 6 months. The case went to court 8 months after the initial deposition. Billy's attorney argued that I'd been unduly influenced by Kate, that I hadn't understood the implications of the trust, that I'd been paranoid and irrational. Kate systematically destroyed every argument. She presented my employment history, 28 years as a real estate paralegal, showed I drafted similar trusts for dozens of clients, proved I was working full-time when I signed the documents, brought in colleagues who testified to my competence and expertise. She showed my medical records, no cognitive decline, no mental health issues, no medications that would impair judgment. She presented the timeline. The trust established 3 years before Billy married Dana, 2 years before Dana's parents' housing crisis. This wasn't a paranoid reaction, Kate argued. This was a knowledgeable professional protecting her assets, using tools she'd used to protect clients for nearly 3 decades. Ms. Morrison didn't act irrationally. She acted expertly. The judge agreed, the trust was upheld, Billy's challenge was denied. After the ruling, Billy approached me in the hallway. I can't believe you let it get this far, he said. I didn't let anything happen. You sued me because you wouldn't listen. You wouldn't compromise. Compromise? Billy, you tried to move people into my house without my permission. What compromise exists there? I don't even know you anymore. That's the thing, I said softly. You never really did. You knew Mom, the woman who cooked your meals and paid your bills. You didn't know Betty, the woman who built a career and protected herself and refused to be anyone's doormat. That's not fair. Neither is suing your mother for protecting her property. He walked away. Dana was waiting at the end of the hall, arms crossed, face hard. I went home alone, to the house that was legally, irrevocably, completely mine. A year after the trial, a letter arrived, handwritten. Billy's careful print on the envelope. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity won. Mom, Dana and I are separated, have been for 3 months. I'm writing because my therapist says I need to take accountability. So here it is. You were right. It's about everything. Dana was using me to get to your property. Her parents weren't actually being evicted. They were trying to get out of their apartment because they didn't want to pay rent anymore. Dana convinced me they were desperate because she wanted them living somewhere rent-free. She wanted your house. She'd been planning it for years, talking about how we'd renovate after you died, how we'd finally have property worth something, how we'd be set financially. I didn't see it, or I didn't want to see it. I just thought I was helping family. But you saw it. You saw it from the beginning, and you protected yourself. I'm sorry for breaking into your house, for suing you, for choosing Dana's manipulation over your boundaries. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know I finally understand. Billy. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it and put it in my dresser drawer. I didn't respond. Not yet. But I kept the letter. 3 months after the letter, I called Billy. Can we meet for coffee? Silence. Then, really, we met at a cafe in Newton. Neutral territory. Billy looked older, thinner. There were lines around his eyes I didn't remember. Thanks for meeting me, he said. Thanks for being honest. In the letter, I meant every word. We ordered coffee, sat across from each other in uncomfortable silence. Finally, Billy spoke. Mom, I need to ask, did you ever love me? Or was I just someone you had to take care of? The question hit like a slap. Of course I loved you. I love you now. Then why did you shut me out so completely? I didn't shut you out, I set boundaries. You're the one who couldn't respect them. But the trust hiding that from me was necessary. Billy, I spent 28 years watching families destroy each other over property. I saw children manipulate elderly parents into signing over houses. I saw siblings fight in court while their parents were still alive. I wasn't going to be another case study, but I'm not like that. Aren't you? You broke into my house. You tried to sue me. You called me selfish and cruel because I wouldn't give up my home. He looked down, I know, and I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't rebuild trust. It's a start, but it's not enough. What do I have to do? I thought about it. Respect my boundaries, all of them. Don't ask about my property. Don't make plans for my stuff. Don't treat me like I'm already gone. I can do that. Can you? Even if we rebuild our relationship, even if things get better, I'm still not changing the trust. The house is still protected. That doesn't change. I understand. And honestly, I'm glad you protected it, because Dana would have gotten it. She would have pushed me to sell the second you were gone. She had buyers lined up, investors she'd talked to. She'd planned the whole thing. My chest tightened. She really was that calculating. Yeah, I didn't see it until after we separated. Found emails between her and her parents. They'd been planning this for 2 years. The eviction was fake. They just wanted to live rent-free in a nice house. I'm sorry. Don't be. You were the only one who saw the truth. I was too stupid to listen. We sat in silence for a while, then Billy said, "Can I ask you something?" Sure. Are you happy living alone in that house? Or do you ever wish you'd handled things differently? I thought about it, honestly. Some days I'm lonely. Some days I wonder if I should have been more flexible. But then I remember what would have happened if I had been. I'd have been pushed out of my own home. Dana's parents would have taken over. You and Dana would have made plans for after I was gone while I was still alive. So no, I don't regret protecting myself. That makes sense. Billy, I loved you enough to let you hate me. That's what a parent does. We make the hard choices even when it costs us the relationship. I'd rather have you alive and angry than manipulated and destroying your own integrity. His eyes got wet. I wasn't angry because you set boundaries. I was angry because Dana told me I should be. She controlled how I saw you. I know. How did you know? Because I've seen it 1,000 times. Abusers isolate their victims from anyone who sees the truth. Dana couldn't manipulate you while I was in your life, so she had to turn you against me. She almost succeeded, but she didn't. You're here? That's what matters. We finished our coffee. As we stood to leave, Billy asked, "Can we do this again?" Coffee, I mean? Yes, but slowly. We're rebuilding. That takes time. I have time. So do I. He hugged me before leaving, tentatively, like he wasn't sure he had permission. I hugged him back. It wasn't forgiveness, not complete forgiveness, but it was something A door opening. Light coming in. 6 months of coffee meetings later, Billy asked, "Can I come to the house for dinner?" I hesitated. "Just me," he added quickly. "No one else. I haven't been there in 2 years. I miss." Okay. Saturday. He arrived early, standing on the porch like he needed permission to enter. "Come in," I said. He walked through, slowly touching the walls, looking at familiar furniture. "It looks exactly the same. Why would it change?" "I don't know. I thought maybe you'd redecorate, get rid of memories." "These aren't bad memories. They're complicated memories. There's a difference." I'd made lasagna his favorite. We ate at the kitchen table where he'd done homework as a kid. "This tastes exactly like it used to," he said. "Same recipe." "Mom, can I ask you something? When I die, what happens to the house?" "You're asking about the trust." "Yeah, I know it's yours while you're alive. But after? After it goes to you with conditions?" "What conditions?" "You can't sell it for 5 years. If you do sell, 20% of proceeds go to a charity of my choosing. If you have children, they become beneficiaries if anything happens to you." "That's fair. I designed it to protect the house from impulsive decisions, from people like Dana who'd push you to cash out immediately. There's no one like Dana in my life anymore." "Good. Keep it that way." After dinner, Billy helped wash dishes. We stood side by side at the sink, and it felt almost normal, almost like we weren't two people rebuilding after a war. "Mom, I need to tell you something." "Okay." "Dana's parents sued me." I turned to look at him. "For what?" "Breach of promise. They claim I promised them housing, that I failed to deliver. They want 50. Can they win?" "My lawyer says no. There was no contract, no written agreement, just Dana's lies and their greed." "I'm sorry you're dealing with that." "I'm not. I deserve it. I enabled them. I should have seen through it. You were manipulated. I was weak. There's a difference." We finished the dishes in silence. Then Billy dried his hands and turned to me. "I need to say this. I treated you terribly. I chose a woman who was using me over a mother who loved me. I broke into your house. I sued you. I said horrible things. Yes, you did. And you still let me come back. Why? Because you're my son. Because people can change. Because you did the work therapy, self-reflection, accountability. You didn't just apologize. You changed your behavior. Do you forgive me?" "I'm working on it. Some days I do. Some days I'm still angry. But I'm trying. That's all I can ask for." As he left, he paused at the door. "This house, it's beautiful. I'm glad you kept it. I'm glad you fought for it." "Me too." After he left, I walked through the rooms. This house I'd built with savings and sweat. This house I'd protected with legal trusts and firm boundaries. This house that had almost cost me my son, but ultimately taught him the most important lesson: respect. I was 62 now, 2 years since the trial, 28 years since I'd bought this place. And it was still mine. Billy got remarried. Her name was Jordan. Different Jordan, not his lawyer. And she was a kindergarten teacher with a kind smile and no interest in my property. "I own a condo," she told me the first time we met. "I'm not looking for a house. I like my space." I liked her immediately. They had a small wedding in my backyard. Billy asked permission first. "Are you sure you want it here?" I asked. "I grew up here. This is home. If you're okay with it, I'm okay with it." So the day was beautiful. 50 guests, string lights in the trees, a buffet instead of a sit-down dinner. Jordan's vows made everyone cry. During the father-daughter dance, Billy danced with Jordan's father. I stood at the edge of the garden watching. Kate found me. "This is nice." "It is. Are you glad you fought for the house?" "Every day, even though it cost you 2 years with your son." Those 2 years taught him what 26 years before hadn't, that I was a person with rights, not just mom, not just a resource, a person. That's profound. That's survival. Billy and Jordan moved to Connecticut for her job. We talked weekly, visited monthly. The relationship wasn't what it had been before Dana, but it was healthier, built on respect instead of obligation. Dana tried to contact me once. A Facebook message. "I hope you're happy. You destroyed my marriage." I deleted it without responding. Some people never learn that you can't steal what someone refuses to give. 2 months ago, I updated my will. Not the trust that stayed ironclad, but other things, personal items, jewelry, the money in my savings. You're giving 30% to charity? Billy said when I told him. Yes. Organizations that help elderly people protect their assets from family exploitation. That's pointed. That's purposeful. I spent my career helping people. Now I'm helping them after I'm gone. What about the other stuff? Split between you and any grandchildren you might have. Jordan and I are talking about kids. Good, they'll get college funds, trust funds, but not until they're 30. No one in this family gets a windfall young enough to waste it. He laughed. You really don't trust anyone. I trust people who've earned it. You earned it back. Your future children will have to earn it too. Fair enough. Last week, I was in my garden when a young woman knocked on my door. She looked nervous. Are you Betty Morrison? Yes. My grandmother told me to find you. She said you helped her 20 years ago when her son tried to take her house. She said you taught her how to protect herself. What's your grandmother's name? Eleanor Briggs. I remembered Eleanor had been one of my last cases before I retired. Her son had forged her signature on a quitclaim deed. We'd gotten it reversed, set up a trust, protected her property. How is Eleanor? She passed last month, but she lived in her house until the end. Independent, safe, because of you. I'm glad. She left me a letter, said if I ever needed help protecting myself, to find you. Are you in trouble? My boyfriend is pressuring me to add him to my condo deed. We've only been together 8 months. I don't think I should, but he says it's about trust, and if I loved him, I'd do it. Don't do it? Really? Really? Come inside. Let me teach you what I taught your grandmother. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd signed my own trust documents, where Billy and I had eaten dinner after years apart, where I'd rebuilt something I thought was lost. And I taught this young woman how to protect herself, because that's what we do. We survive. We protect ourselves. We teach others to do the same. The house stood behind me, solid and safe, protected by trusts and boundaries and hard-won wisdom.
My house. My rules. My life.
And no one, not my son, not his wife, not anyone, was ever going to take that from me again. If you've ever had to protect yourself from your own family, drop a comment below. You're not alone. And remember, setting boundaries isn't cruel. It's survival. And sometimes survival means choosing yourself first.